Part 9.
Yay! Today we're going to be diving into a topic that we've touched on before, but it actually was inspired by Rick Warren's book, Difficult Questions, or Tough Questions with Difficult Answers, or something like that.
It's like difficult questions to ask. I don't know.
Yeah, Difficult Questions to Ask God or something. It's a really awesome book, and we'll link the title below when we figure that out correctly.
Yeah, I don't know the name, but it goes through like in the table of contents, it's like how to deal with loneliness, like depression, how do I find peace is the one that we got this off of. And with a little bit of help from Athens Church on Tuesday.
Like peace and our purpose.
Yeah.
And like how we find that through Christ, which is,
it's a lot of pressure nowadays.
Yeah, and it's something that I think like everyone kind of, even in the non-Christian community, struggles with. Like anxiety is at like the all-time high, and even like there's a thing nowadays called purpose anxiety, and it's literally just anxiety like from what your purpose is. It is so sad.
Yeah.
But it's something like we've both personally experienced a lot, and we know probably a lot of y'all have too, and we want to kind of go through what God has revealed to us through that, and how like we found him to be the source of our peace even when like our circumstances are trying.
And I think like starting it out, like how I like texted Bella and I was like, I think we should talk on this. It had to do with that book because I was just in daily grind reading it, and I was just like, dang, this all adds up. But like not only like are we going to talk about like purpose, but like you have to be able to like stop trying to be somebody that you aren't around other people that don't even know who they are. To be able to seek God and find your purpose and like what your calling is and why he made you.
Yeah.
So.
And that like purpose isn't a career, and like purpose isn't just like a season of life. Like you have purpose from the day that you're born, but also like how you believe that in yourself too, like kind of where it comes from and why. So we'll be diving into that with you.
With you.
I think today for me, I just have even felt like a little conviction when we're talking on this topic, because I just have been like really overwhelmed today, and I'm thankful to have a friend like Laurel that can remind me of like what God's truth is through that, and also like how important it is for me to just like voice that to my friend too. And that was a big thing that has just been a topic basically since Passion, about like your purpose in everyone's lives too, and like our purpose as a Christian or as a follower of Jesus is to love each other, but it also like extends so much more than that, and it's not always like the easiest or most comfortable thing to do, but it starts by stepping out. Like it starts by taking like one step towards what you are looking for, or like what the answer is that you're finding, and not from yourself, like from a higher power or someone else around you.
Yeah, like you can't just sit at home and be like, oh God, like give me this, like I want this, or I want a husband, or I want a job, or I want to, go be in children ministry or whatever it is, and not leave your house. Like you have to go like seek it, ask God for it, go seek it. You seek what you find. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you find what you see, whatever it is. Yeah. But still, like you can't just, like you have to put effort in. God's not just going to be like, here's a boyfriend. You know what I mean? Or like, here's this. Like you have to, just like that Morgan Freeman thing. It's like, do you think God gives us, like if a family prays for peace or love, or to love each other, or patience, or whatever it is, do you think he's just going to give them all these things, or do you think he's going to give them opportunities to do those things?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, you can't just be sitting there and be like, God, give it to me, because it's not how it works. You have to do your part too.
And like step out with that.
Because he's going to give you those people in your life that, like, that's what I've learned ever since Passion. Like, even with just, like, community to build you up. Like, I prayed for friends, but I also, like, reached out to people. Not, this isn't, like, a prideful thing. It's just, like, what I learned at Passion. So I did it, and this is how it's worked out for me. I prayed for more friends. I have Bella and I have Savannah, but it's, like, I want, like, a community for all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah, and now it's so crazy. It's, like, I prayed for friends, but, like, I asked Kelsey to go eat with me, and then I asked Maddie to go eat with me, and then now we're friends. And now our good friend Dylan Brown, his girlfriend Amber, like, we're gonna go eat with her on Wednesday, because it's just like unexpected like things. And like even with our friend David that's going to be on the next podcast, so it's going to be really good. But like, you know, just like little things ever since then. And it's like, if you go out, and I don't just mean this with friends, I mean it with every aspect of your life, like you're gonna find it because you seeked God first through it, and so he's gonna bless you with that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's, yeah. But to get there and to find your purpose, if you're like me and you have no, like I dropped out, I did not do what I was supposed to do in college. Like I dropped out and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a break, but like here I am, like on my senior year of college, I'm not in college at all. Yeah, like I'm not on track with school, and I've always, I don't like to use this word, but I hate school. And I just can't, it's not for me. And so, you know, you have to, but also in those times when I didn't know, it was because I was seeking other people as well. Like I was seeking other people's opinions. Like I was like not seeking, like, but I was in a different headspace at the time. But you have to like stop doing what I was doing. Like stop trying to be somebody that you aren't for a crowd that doesn't even know who they are, that doesn't even have like the confidence for themselves. Like they're judging you, but they don't even have confidence in who they are. You know what I mean?
And the only reason that they're even judging you is like off their own insecurity too, and then you're like trying to win the world's approval win the world's applause versus like God's approval, and like none of that comes easy. But it all like comes with like a good form of discipline too. Like it just is a whole process of like stepping out in faith, and like where God will meet you in it too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like one day we just woke up and we're like, okay, like done with our old life, like God's my peace and I'm confident now, never gonna question myself, and like God's put this calling and we're it, you know? No, like every single day we're human. Like we all have different things going on in our journey, and like I think a good part about Athens Church's service with the purpose stuff too was they were talking about like how our world puts so much emphasis on like the career path or like whatever it is, and it's also like that's not where you find your real purpose. But if you believe in a higher purpose, like I hear a lot of people say that, but then like they don't even believe in God fully, and it's like if you believe in a higher purpose for your life, then you're believing in a higher power over your life too, like bigger than yourself. And that like stuck out to me a lot, because like I think so many people outside of the church too like do believe in that, but like don't even realize like the reason they believe in it is because like God's placed that in them to believe it. And something that like was just important for me to hear, Laurel to hear, like Carly, all our friends that were there, and I think any college student that was there, is like I think nowadays we have such a instantaneous of like, okay, this is supposed to be my purpose, it's supposed to be right now, I'm supposed to figure this out, it's supposed to be this easy, I know what I want to do, so why can't I do it right now? But like you have to serve in other ways first too. Like maybe right now you're trying to make money to go to your other purpose. Like maybe right now like you're serving God even if you're working in a restaurant or a coffee shop or at Nike, like he said. Like if it's all a stepping ground to like get wherever God's calling you, but where your true calling is not where the most money is, or where you think that like you'll have your parents' approval the most. It's where when our passion, or lead to our purpose, is where our passion, our talent, and our mission all overlap, and that isn't always the place where we're making the most money or, you know, doing the thing that the world thinks is like worth a round of applause. But also everyone's is differently. Like they were talking about it and saying, which this was really cool, like to me, there's not a spiritual job and an unspiritual job, and there's not a spiritual life and then a non-spiritual life. It's just your life and the way you're living and your job, and anything you do you can welcome Jesus into, and like you can find that main passion and calling and purpose on your life. But there are also steps to getting there too, which like we're 21, like we're going through those steps right now, but sometimes the world is overwhelming in the way of like, okay, I need to have it all figured out right now. I need to know what I'm doing for the rest of my life or whatever. But then like that's where true trust with God comes in. And like Laurel was really having to remind me of that earlier. Like she literally made a list for me of like all the things that I've been anxious about or worried about. And like we went through all of them together, and like so many of them were things that like are already in God's control and that I just have to like give to God in that way. And I like pray that, but then I like let myself get so worked up by anxiety, and like that's not from God, and I need to stop feeding it.
And it also doesn't help with like parents that don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, what are you gonna do with your life? Like, what are you gonna, like, you need to make money. We want you to be able to support yourself. Like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you're 21, figure it out. Which I'm mimicking my parents. But I know they're not watching this, and even if they did, it's fine. But, because that's literally what they say to me. But it's like, at the same time, what they don't understand is like, I don't live by just speeding it up and like racing it up. Like, I obviously, like Mike Todd, I always mention him, but he did this thing where it was like a treadmill, and it was like, if you start like trying to run on the setting where it's walking, when you're supposed to be walking on the treadmill, and you start trying to run, you're gonna hurt yourself. And that's God's purpose, and like that as well, and like waiting and stuff like that. So
and like so many of the people that we know like had lived that rush life, they're not happy with where they've ended up, and no money in the world can like give them the satisfaction that their souls are really looking for.
Yeah, no, we won't get into that today.
God.
Yeah.
And like leading into like more of the peace side of where our purpose comes from. Mm-hmm.
Like even how they were saying like Moses, like in the Bible and stuff, like in that what I was reading, like everything that he did like was so, what is the word they used? Like they only used it for, it was meek, I think. Mm-hmm. And it was like they only used it for Jesus and for Moses, because Moses was so, I'm reading about him right now, so I don't know everything, but it was just like he was so, even though he had like stage fright and like different stuff that every human, like we all have struggles,
all these things,
but
like could have
gone wrong
or been like, oh, God can't use me because
he
I have
didn't
this.
do that.
But
he was just like so confident in who God said that he was and what he could do, and Jesus was Jesus, so of course he did that, but it
wasn't easy for both of them.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like, and he also didn't give up like the first time, like, which I think like it's really easy to be discouraged. Like Moses went to the Pharaoh over and over and over again, like kept sending these different messages from God to him, but like even when he knew that Pharaoh wasn't believing in everything he said, it didn't let him keep himself from like following what God was saying to him or saying it to Pharaoh. And like that just shows so much courage that like our world thinks they have today, but we lack so much, because the second that something isn't agreed with us and that like we don't get whoever's approval, we like are discouraged about it. Mm-hmm. But like we have to know that like, especially when we're following God, what's that quote? It's like real faith and real trust lies on the opposite side of fear, and like the opposite, it's like
the best things come on the other side of fear. That's Will Smith. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and it's like all those different things, like, and to even know that we trust something, like we have to be in a place where like we're left to trust it, you know. And like with Moses, like there were so many different trials on his life that like could have prevented him from seeking God's will for him, but he's the reason that we have so much of what we get to know about the life of God and Jesus and all these other people and the actual word itself, the Bible, because of what he stood out on. And he would have never known that back then. Yeah. But like it's just the little ounces of faith, you know?
Yeah. And I think like a big thing, like I know I've already mentioned this, but like you're so influenced, because I've been here, I can like say this, like on who everybody else, like who you think everybody else wants you to be.
That if that's all you come out of here with, even for unbelievers, if just from this video you don't find like true faith in God, but you find
like I'm just saying, like people like in general, like if you're listening to the voices of people that aren't even, like I said, confident in themselves, like you are truly never gonna be able to like even little things, like if you think you have like some sort of little talent that you've never shared with anybody, or you've never like whatever, you know what I mean, because you're like, oh, they're gonna make fun of me, I'm not good enough, I'm not this or whatever. It doesn't like, but God planted that inside of you for a reason, and if you're passionate about a certain thing, like what?
I'm just really agreeing with you.
Oh, I thought you were like about to laugh at me. I was like,
I'm like, yeah, girl.
Okay, well, anyway, but yeah, like it's there for a reason, and it's not God didn't like what is the thing? God doesn't send your mail to the wrong address.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's true.
And that's the devil trying to keep you in the dark.
Yeah, because like I don't know, I think I said this in the last podcast, but like every single one of us is in God's image, but it's like he has some sort of him in us that he's planted in us that he wants us to share with the world, even if that's like he was saying, like in a coffee shop or like in Nike, or if you like I don't, the things on my mind are the things that in my head, but like photography, or like even like playing a piano or whatever you do. What do you do? She likes to write, so you know what I mean though. It's not, and like you have like you do stuff with like you're really good with patience when it comes to like people with special needs and stuff like that. You know what you're welcome. But you know what I mean?
Like we all do have like little gifts and
things
callings.
planted. Like Kelsey, that's her calling.
Yes.
With special needs people, like
and like those things like are almost like when you look back in your childhood, like those are the things like Bob Goff said it in his book like that. Like find the thing like made you so excited, made you like know that like you had a calling when you were little. Like things that you enjoyed doing before like you even knew what it was. Like it was just something that like you loved, you know?
It's not there for like no reason.
Yeah.
And like I know how hard it can be, like especially with people in your family that don't understand that like you're doing your callings and your calling of God and not of just rushing it, and because they just want me to be stable, which is I understand they're my parents and they want me to be whatever, but it's hard when you have your parents in your ear, so and all these different distractions, not knowing what you're good at or what you want to do or and whatnot. But you truly just have to take a leap of faith and just like do what's on your heart and like trust God that he's gonna do it. And I think that's a big thing. Like nowadays, I won't get off track, but like not trusting God, like not like trusting, saying you trust him, but then be like oh my gosh, it's not happening right now. It's like he's not doing anything. You know what I mean? But like he is. Just be patient. Like, but you also have to put in this much effort and just be still. Yeah. You know, be calm like, down.
Before, which like when I found this out, it was just like amazing to me the faith that like everyone had when Jesus came to the Messiah, to be like the Messiah. Yeah. There had been like a dark period where God had not spoken to the people for over 1,000 years. They had not heard like the voice of God. Like that's why there's the whole gap between the Old and New Testament. But it's like those people didn't lose faith. Those people, and they weren't even seeing it on their phone every day or whatever. And it's like that's how real their faith was. That like generation on generation on generation, they kept that real hope and that real peace in them. Like, and it doesn't make sense to the world. And maybe these things like that we're talking about don't make sense to unbelievers or someone that like is just more focused on like how they can run their life, but that's what God's peace is. It transcends all earthly understanding. Like it doesn't make sense to the outside world, but it makes sense when you're in Christ. And even with social media, like everything that you were just talking about with comparison with other people and like even in other things, like Sadie had talked about it in her podcast with her mom. Like I know when I was living for the world, I experienced comparison a lot, but also within the church too. Like if you're someone that knows God, but like you're still struggling with that a lot sometimes, that's normal too. It doesn't mean like it's a thing that we should feed. Yeah, but it's also like social media feeds that so much. Sadie's example is like with motherhood. Like constantly you see how someone else is raising their kid or their things that they're doing there, and it's like, am I right? Am I doing this right? Or even with college night, with the spiritual and non-spiritual jobs, it's like you see all these people that are like proclaiming their love for Jesus, going and doing things that like being missionaries or pastors or like church jobs or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, I love God, so I'm supposed to do that. But like you can serve God wherever you are, and like God isn't just in the church or in things that like seem spiritual. God's every single place. He's in Nike, he's in Taco Mac, he's in Marriott Pizza Company, he's in Elon North.
You're like naming all my jobs. No, like literally.
Yeah, but like all those places, like he's even in a bar in the place where you would least expect him, but like that he's where like we welcome him into too. And if we want to live a play in a way that's like honoring him, we have to live honoring him, whether we're serving him in the thing that we feel like is a stepping stone for us, or we're serving him in like our exact purpose place where we know like that's our calling.
But yeah, I think that like finding like when, I don't know, because I, like you said, like did struggle with comparing myself to people, and that's like what I was just saying or thinking. Like I've already brought this up, but like I'm gonna say it again, and I'm not gonna like say the same thing, but I'm just gonna like go off of it. But like when you don't like, because that was sorry, I don't know what I'm saying, but like when you don't sit there and like seek what others are thinking or saying about you when they truly are not, like they're in the same boat as you. Like I was so insecure, I thought I was so like an outcast. I thought I was like, you know, like I thought everybody was so better than me, so much better than me, and so different from me, and I was just weird. You know what I mean? Like I was just like all these different things that they weren't. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do all of these things that like would maybe make them like me. You know what I mean? But at the time I didn't like realize that that's what I was doing. And like even with like getting so like drunk out of my mind when I honestly hated it. You know what I mean?
But like when you're stuck in it, you don't even realize that like everyone else hates it too. You think that like y'all all have this such a fun.
Yeah. But not even just with drinking, just with anything, like talking about people or
going
like
to the grocery store by myself or anything. I like had to have other people with me and other people's approval.
Yeah, FOMO was a real thing.
Yeah.
But like we were saying, or sorry, not like we were saying, I'm literally trying to repeat myself. But like trying to think of everything we said, but sorry.
Like even with this podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say like even with like stuff like, yeah, like this podcast, like it takes such a leap of faith, because like I was saying, oh my gosh, like I was saying, I can't even help it, but we knew people were gonna make fun of us. Like we knew like it wasn't gonna, like not everybody's gonna sit here and watch it. We're not Sadie Robb over here, you know what I mean? But
and
like
she gets made fun of.
But like at the same time, the Bible tells you straight up, you're gonna be mocked. You're gonna be all these things. But like I promise you, your reward is going to be like, don't, like what I posted on my Instagram story today, like don't not take that leap of faith or post that thing, or you know, if you want to post that thing about God that he did for you, or if you want to post a verse, or if you want to post a song or something, don't not do it because of the world.
Exactly.
You know?
Even if it's not like a Christian thing or whatever, like those people are following your account to follow you. Like be confident enough in the things that you like and who God has called you to be, that you can share whatever without other people's opinion about it, because that's not what social media is for. And anything that we have in this life is a gift from God, even if it's an Instagram account, and we can use that to glorify him in everything that we do, and also like be our true authentic self that he's made us and called us to be. And it's just all those little things that like you've said a lot, just in life. We all are just kids one day, and then we wake up and it's like the world is shaking us. But we have to like find.
Or like we all wake up one day and we're kids. That's how I say it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well,
like we
I meant
all just
like
wait.
one day like we're children, and then like we wake up and it's like
all this
world
stuff
has
has like
gotten
happened.
to us. And we're like, what is going on? Or like you've lost the thing that like you cared so much about when you were a little kid, and it's just like those aren't even my dogs.
Oh, I know, it's okay. Just keep going.
Like you've lost those little things like made you significantly like set apart, but that's what we're called to be, is set apart. And another thing with the comparison path that leads to that, it is stealing all your peace, all your joy, and all your confidence. And what does the enemy do? He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's literally like killing you from the inside. Like you don't even realize it, because you're all just so unhappy. And like something with like what you were saying too, sorry, and it was just like made me think of it when you were talking about it, is those people, like we're all trying to become basically one image of each other, because everyone's just comparing each other. Like even looking on Instagram and the influencers and all of that, they're basically all the same. I couldn't tell a lot of them apart, you know what I mean? Like we have a platform for a greater purpose, and we're called to use it.
Yeah, and like this is gonna piss a lot of people off, but can I say that?
It's okay.
Is that a cuss word like Jenny Allen
Yeah.
said? She's like, it's crap, a cuss word. But it's going to make some people mad. But I saw this TikTok and I was just like, dang. And I'm not going to say I haven't done these things before because I have. But it's just like we sit there on social media and we're like comparing our lives and like these people's stuff and like the way people look and stuff. And it's like, they're like, oh, self-love. But they're over here with like butt implants and like fake eyelashes and fake skin and like fake hair.
You like
and
who
like
you made yourself.
And I'm not hating on anybody that has hair extensions or like gets that stuff, but like who God made you to be naturally, like they got like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have all this fake stuff and it's just like to then be like, oh, self-love, but girl, that is not you. And then they're like, oh, let me scoop my little stomach in a little bit, or let me like make my acne go away. And they're like, self-love, self-care, da 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 da. And I'm like, girl, no. And I'm not gonna, I've edited my body before I knew who I was in Christ, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, maybe he'll like my picture if I'm like, you know what I mean?
Like he's like,
that's how stupid it is though. Girls, you're not crazy. I'm like, did he look at my story? Did he, like, you know what I mean? Like all this different stuff, but like, it's not who you are and it's not who God made you to be, so stop being fake. Pretty much. And have confidence in not being fake.
Exactly. Like, what is their approval going to get you?
Yeah.
To try and get their approval on the next post.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. It's like you're just posting for what? Like likes and comments telling you you're pretty? Well, go to the Bible. I promise you God tells you you're pretty and wonderfully and fearfully made.
And we know like where all this anxiety is coming from, but like we're searching so within ourselves for an answer that only a higher purpose can give, or higher power can give us. And it's like, that's where our real peace exists, is like when it's out of our hands.
Yeah.
Like when it's something that we can surrender to someone else. And I think like so often, even the word surrender in Christianity, like from the outside, it's like, why would you want to do any of that? Like, why wouldn't you want to own yourself and be whatever? It's like, no, it's a blessing and a gift that I don't have to carry at all. Like I can give that all to someone that like loves me, and knows it even when I don't say it. Mm-hmm. And that like, it's not my thing to carry. And as much as I fight to carry it, it's only hurting me.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy how like peace really does exist, but it's like outside of our own will, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, just like they said at Passion, like how you're saying, like own your truth, own your whatever. Mm-hmm. And like by like how Sadie was talking about like the Enneagram, and like she was like, I'm so into like the Enneagram and like I know my horoscope, like I know all of this different stuff, but like if we sit there and we let it tell us who we are rather than our creator tell us who we are, it's not...
I know the creator of all those things.
Yeah, and it's like, shoot, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, like the horoscope is like, oh, you're fearful and you do this and you care so much about others, but you worry about other people not liking you. Don't let that tell you who you are. Yeah. Just because you're a fearful person, you can... You know what I mean? Like, you can go to God about those things and be like, hey, I'm fearful about my future.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm fearful about this. Let's work it out.
Just be like, oh, that's how I'm wired.
I'm fearful. I'm scared.
I was born in February, so it is what it is. Like, no, like...
And on the other aspects of, like how Sadie was also saying, like, it's biblical. Mm-hmm. It's not natural. It's biblical.
Exactly.
Like, how, like, it's natural to want to have sex with somebody. But it's not biblical for a reason. It's only a temptation because of the enemy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go into that, but there's boundaries for a reason. Anyway, but not just about sex, but like
she said, like, it's natural when someone hits you across the face to want to hit them back.
Right.
But the Bible says, turn your face and walk away.
Yeah,
and love your enemies. Like, is it natural to love someone that, like, we're supposed to hate our enemy? No.
Yeah, no.
But it's, like, that's where real love exists. If you love the people that...
Self-control, too.
You only are, like,
gotta have self-control.
made to agree with you, then that's not even real love.
Yeah.
Like, it's just I don't know.
It's natural. But it's, like, once you stop doing those things, it's, like, it's such a relief and such peace that it's, like... Oh yeah, I forgot. Like, I don't have to deal with it because God's going to. Just like our futures. Just like with all this comparison, with all this forgiveness, with all this stuff that Christianity tells you have to do. I came with none of that.
Like, it's not like go figure it out and then come to God. Come to God and He will help you figure it out.
Exactly. So
He's already died, so you have the ability to figure it out. It's not like, oh, Jesus died for you after you figure this out. No, Jesus died for us before, like, great grandparent was even around, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but he knows us all to the same level of like intimacy.
Gosh, I'm gonna go right home and watch The Chosen. It's so good.
And it's like just crazy. Like really watch that, and like if you want to see how God really works, you also have to seek him to see how he works. Like do the things that he's calling us to do, like follow the boundaries that he's placed, or seek his will and do those things, and it gives him room to work. But when we're grasping at everything, he's got nothing to do, you know? And he still will do stuff, but it's also like we're fighting him.
Yeah. And it's like, even when he's like, hey, don't do these things, like when you come to him and it's not like he's gonna be like, stop it, you know what I mean? Stop
I told you not to. You're strike one.
But it's like, oh, like hold on, like hey, like he did with me. Hey, I'm gonna take your desire to go out and drink and get drunk with all these unhealthy people and relationships. I'm gonna take that away from you. We're gonna work on that first, and then after that, we're gonna work on forgiveness, and after that, we're gonna work on your guilt and your shame from all of that.
Like
and then after that
comes, for each person differently. Like maybe yours would be a different spectrum of like forgiveness, then going out, or maybe going out's the last thing that you feel convicted about. Like God's not coming at all these things to target you, and throughout it, you want to surrender it to him. Like you become
that's the
more
thing.
like him.
People are like, I'm not giving up that. I'm not doing that. And like even with me, like I have recently in the past months have given up my desire to smoke weed. Like literally, like he was just like, he's been telling me for months. He's like, I'm telling you, I can like hear it in my head, like stop. Like you don't even like it. What are you doing? And then so I stopped doing it, and the things that I have I'm so much more present. I'm so much more aware and not forgetful, and like it's so like I'm just like more present, and it's just like I don't even have the desire. It's like he takes those desires away and replaces them with the desires of like what he wants. I don't know how to say that, like of what he like is telling you, because he's like, hey, this is for a reason why I don't want you to do that. But it all leads to your purpose too. Like it all leads back to like, I'm gonna take these things away so you can live out your calling in the most perfect way that I could do for you.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's like his will really is better than like our greatest imagination.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. Like,
what does the Bible say? It says like I can't even tell you what I'm gonna do because you won't believe it, or something. I think that's a verse or something. I just heard that the other day. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna look it up after. But I did hear somebody say that. So.
And it's like that's how he is though. Like, you know, like we could predict anything, and not everything's gonna be perfect, but also not everything that happens is straight from him. It's from our own actions, which I know we talk about every time, but I just feel like when we're talking about how much he like does, we do need to touch on like the things that are not from him. It's from like, we're human, we're sinful, we make mistakes, and like we also have a reaction to those things, but that's how much he loves us and wants to offer us that peace, that we have the free will to choose it and seek it.
And he already knows we're gonna screw up. Like he already knew before.
And that's why he's there to be with us even when we do, and like why he died on the cross for us, so because he knew that we would. But that's just how great his love for us really is.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, truly is. So, but next week.
Yes, we have a special guest.
Aw, David's coming. Can't wait. It's going to be so good.
He's sharing in the first testimony of the show.
He texted me and asked if we were still doing the podcast because we hadn't done it in like a month, and he was like, I really want to come on there. I'm 24 and I've never told my story, and I want to tell my testimony. So
it's amazing.
If anybody else wants to do that, or even wants to DM us and just tell us and we can talk about it.
If you have prayer requests of any kind or anything on your heart, that's like what we pray and want this community to be for everyone that's listening. And so we love you.
We love you.
Jesus does too.
You're